Hello friends, my name is Anchit Garg and I'm your mentor for RBI NABARD SEBI and various other exams at EduTap. With RBI Grade B results being announced yesterday, now there is a refreshed energy among candidates, right? Those candidates who were just in slumber, they have also awaken up, and now everybody, after being motivated by seeing the selected students, now they are saying the same thing, that my goal is to clear RBI Grade B in the next cycle. That's a very good wish on your part. Obviously, you should be motivated by seeing others and you should set your own targets. But my question is, have you any plan for that? It's very important to have a plan when you set a goal. A goal without a plan is just a wish. I'll tell you a very simple story, and then after this story, once you understand the importance of plan, we will move on to discuss the 4-month plan for preparation of RBI Grade B. Now, this story is that a very big car company, I will not take the name of that company, it's a very reputed company. This incident happened somewhere in 1980s. A very big car company conducted a survey, and in that survey, they basically asked people that do they want AC at the back seat? Do they want hi-fi interiors? Do they want big boot space? Do they want automatic side adjusting mirrors? Do they want automatic cars? Many other questions. Most of the people said yes. Everybody wants it, right? And the company was really happy. At that time, these things were not common. The company was really happy, right? As people said yes, the company launched the car based upon these features, but the car flopped. Can you guess what was the reason for that? Right? The reason was that company did not ask these people about the price point at which they were ready to buy this car. It means company asked them that what are the features they would really like. Obviously, everybody likes everything which is hi-fi, which is luxurious. But then company did not survey that what was the price point at which people would be ready to buy this car. The price point was high with respect to people's expectations, and the cars just flopped in the market. Now, why I'm giving you this example? Because when we plan to do something, when we plan to do something, obviously there would always be limitation of resources. Resource constraint is universal, right? So in this story, the resource constraint is the price paying capability of the consumer. In our case, when we are preparing for RBI Grade B, the resource constraint is time. It is for everybody. Time is such a thing that howsoever you may have, you will never feel that it is no more than enough. So on the same lines, if we do not take time as a resource, as a critical resource, as a resource constraint on our side, and we try to plan, right, that we will do everything starting from FM static, ESI static, current affair reports, schemes, essay writing, quant, reasoning, English, newspaper reading, etc., etc. There are a lot of people who would advise you do this, do that. So if you do not take time constraint into picture and try to do everything, you make such a plan in which you try to do everything, I would just call it an aspirational plan. Aspirational plan is just a plan with an aspiration which is not realized into a reality. So in this video, we are going to discuss about something realistic, which is very important for you to understand that here realistic means that something we are able to execute. When we set realistic targets, we need to have patience. We need to have determination to execute that plan, right? And if anybody of you is doing common mistakes like reading ESI static before FM, not practicing descriptive writing on continuous basis, preparing only for phase 1 at this point in time, and the list goes on. If you are doing any of these mistakes, then this session even becomes more useful to you, more relevant for you, right? So please be with me for next 20 minutes and we shall discuss this strategy. How should one plan his RBI preparation at this point in time? When I'm going to talk about plan, both phase 2 prep and phase 1 prep, we are going to talk about the plan for both. Both are important. See, this will help you get into the merit list, but this can prevent you from getting into the merit list. So both have their own importance, right? We can't say that only phase 2 is important or only phase 1 is important. Both have their own importance. These are stairs to success and you have to go one by one. And before I start with the strategy, I must tell you that you must have handy with yourself previous year papers and syllabus when you try to execute this plan later. Previous year papers, right, these will help you that what kind of questions are being asked in the exam, what is the difficulty level of the questions, what is the depth to which you are required to study. You will get a lot of things, lot of analysis from these previous year papers. So you should always keep them handy. In case you are not having previous year papers with you, you can visit our website. We are providing previous year papers for free. All the previous year papers for RBI Grade B along with solutions, along with analysis are there on our website. And also keep the syllabus handy. Unless and until you have syllabus at your side, you will never be able to understand the scope of study. But syllabus can only be understood better. The scope from the syllabus will just give you a direction, right? But to ultimately understand in a better way that okay, this is the topic I need to read about, say, disinvestment, but in disinvestment up till what depth I need to read, what kind of questions can be asked, what is the orientation required to study this, that you will get from previous year papers. So these both go hand in hand, these both needs to be taken together as an input for you to execute any plan, maybe your own plan, maybe the plan which I am going to discuss, राइट सो अगर आपके पास प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर नहीं है, आई रिपीट, हमारी वेबसाइट पे जाइए, इस वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में भी प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स का लिंक है आरबीआई के, आप उस पर जाकर सारे प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स को देख सकते हैं. Before I start, I would like to tell you that we are offering 40% weekend sale right on all our courses, RBI NABARD SEBI, ICAR, ESIC, IBPS, UPSC combo courses. You can use the code weekend to avail this 40% discount, and it is valid till 13th of September, right? So hurry up in case you want to enroll into any of our courses. Now coming back to the agenda. So I told you I will be discussing the plan with you for phase 1 and phase 2 prep. First I'll discuss with you the plan for phase 2 prep. Right. Now how much time frame we should take into account, whether it should be a 6-month plan, whether it should be a 4-month plan, that obviously depends upon time, right? How much time you have in your hand before the examination. Now this exact time we will never be able to tell that this is the time we have, because it may vary depending upon when the notification comes. But right now, as in what the news is coming from various sources, whatever you call it, rumors, speculations, let's take that into account because there should be some reference point for us. So let's assume exam is somewhere in say Feb or say Jan end, right? Or maybe the notification comes at that point in time. So we will have at least around 4 to 5 months. Even if say notification comes in December end, right? Exam phase 1 would be somewhere in first week of February. So we have roughly say around 4 to 5 months of preparation time with us. So this is the time based upon which we shall be deciding, right? Or we shall be planning our activities. So I'll take into account 4 to 5 months of preparation time, right? So depending upon that, this is my idea, right? Though this can be customized as per your needs, and I would rather say this must be customized depending upon your needs. But this is a broad idea which I'm going to give. So out of these 5 months, I think 2 months should be spent on FM and static here, right? Rest 2 months should be spent on current affairs, ESI, reports and schemes, and the last month, 1 month, should be spent upon revision, right? And anything extra that you get should be a bonus time in which you can read whatever is left, what you are not able to cover as per this plan, or you should try to invest more time in revision. So this is a broad plan, and when I'm going to discuss about this plan, this is perfectly executable by working candidates, because most of you are working who do not have more than 4 or 5 hours a day on the weekdays. So this plan is going to be perfectly executable by the working candidates. And when I say 2 months, say for FM and descriptive English, then 2 months for ESI, static and current affairs, basically I am explaining you the logic of art of doing limited things. Right. Some people, what they do is they start reading everything, and after 30 days they realize that they are not able to absorb anything. They are not able to have any tangible output. So this is called art of doing limited things, where you are able to concentrate on few subjects at one point in time. You are able to give better output. You are able to understand things better, and you get a lot of satisfaction and motivation after you are able to finish one or two things, right? So we will go by this logic, and हमें खिचड़ी नहीं पकानी है, सब कुछ साथ में शुरू कर. So first of all, I would be discussing how to cover FM and static in 2 months, right? Some key points, some common mistakes that you need to avoid. Then we will be discussing about how to cover current affairs and DSI static in 2 months. Again, some key points, some common mistakes that you need to avoid. And further, after discussing the phase 2 preparation, we shall also discuss the phase 1 preparation. So coming to the first 2 months in which I am telling you to cover FM static and descriptive English, right? Now, this is not going to be easy, first of all. Do not think that if I'm saying that 2 months you spent upon FM static and descriptive English, it is going to be very easy. No, right? The plan is going to be always challenging. Otherwise, there is no use of that plan. So if you see FM static, there are say around 30 to 40 chapters. And if I am expecting you to cover this in say 60, 70 days, it means at the max you will get around 2 days per chapter, right? So 2 days per chapter is not much, but if you are focused, it is manageable, right? So normally I suggest people to finish FM static in 3 months, because it's very scoring component, and for some people who are new to this, it can be time consuming at times. But here now you have to cover that in 2 months because you cannot take risk, right? So what I suggest is that when you read FM static, right, you can avoid mind maps and summary sheets for now, right? You can go through this at the time of revision later. At this point in time, avoid them, right? This is, I'm talking about the deliverables in the course. In case you are doing self preparation, then obviously these deliverables will not mean much to you. And in FM static, now I'm asking you to cover 3 months thing in 2 months. So obviously you need to tweak it a little bit. So I would suggest that in management, in many of the topics, you can skip videos. You can just read the notes directly. That can be understood. In finance also, there are many chapters like financial inclusion, alternate sources of finance, e-governance. Those are not typical finance chapters. They are just, I would say, public finance kind of thing, which is like some theoretical topics, some issues related to our economy. So that also you can just read without wasting too much time on videos. So there you can save time and cover FM static in 2 months instead of 3 months, right? But still, I would suggest do not look to cover important chapters only. Many of the people call me, email us that, sir, what are the important chapters? See, this exam is not about what is being important, because they can always surprise you. This year, in management, from communication, they ask, questions worth 6 to 8 marks. Normally, there is no question from communication in the exam. So they can always surprise you. So do not look to cover the important chapters. That is the worst strategy one can follow or one can tell you. The key points with respect to FM static is, first is that you need to follow the chapters in the order, whatever is given in the course. In case you are doing self preparation, you can you can obviously see what could be a good order for you by at least having some peep into the topics. Next is recall and not only recognition. This is a very common mistake which people do, is that earlier the exam used to be objective. So even if you have read once, you could recognize the answer in the exam. For objective portion, that will still be valid. But when I say descriptive portion, suppose in the exam they ask you the criticism of Maslow theory, unless and until you have those 5-6 critical points in your mind, in as a mind map or something which you can directly take out and write, you cannot attempt descriptive questions. So recall is very important, where without seeing any options, you are able to recall the points that you have studied. That is the difference between recall and recognition. For descriptive, you need to develop that habit of recall. वो कैसे होगी, उसमें कोई बहुत बड़ी चीज आपको नहीं करनी है. What you need to do is to develop that habit of recall. Say after you have read 3 chapters, maybe one day sit for 2 hours and try to recall what you have studied. Try to note it down very roughly, not the notes, just brief. That will help you see how much you can recall. And less focus on numerical. From the past 6-7 from the past 6-7 years, when the exam is being conducted very professionally, and a lot of people are giving the exam, earlier there used to be numericals, but of late, since last 3-4 years, numericals have almost vanished. So you can still do numerical to avoid some risk, but I would not say that focus too much on numerical, go too much into depth. Sometimes people spend 3-4 hours on just doing 2 numerical because they are not able to understand. That kind of thing I would suggest you should not get into, right? Because that will not give you much value for your time. Now, some of the common mistakes that you need to avoid in FM, guys. First is do not leave the descriptive part. This is the most common mistake which many of you are doing. Sir, right now we are focusing on the objective part. We will do descriptive later. By descriptive part is 50 marks in your paper, and this is just your assumption that you will be able to write good answer. When it comes to writing, most of us are not in habit of writing well, and we will not be able to execute no good writing there if we have not practiced. So do not leave descriptive part. It just a matter of writing for 7 days, and then you will become habitual to that. You will start enjoying that. So overcome that initial resistance and write one descriptive answer daily. Whatever you write, even if it is a shit, doesn't matter. It will improve over a period of time, and it will hardly take you 15 minutes. Hardly take you 15 minutes daily to write one answer, or 20 minutes, and that is what you will get in exam. You cannot devote 1 hour in writing one answer. Second common mistake which people are doing is do not attempt quizzes immediately. That is the mistake which people do, is that as soon as they finish the chapter, let's go to the quiz, let's check ourselves. भैया वो पढ़ के तो you will always get a good number, at least 60% तो आ ही जाएंगे, unless and until one is totally dumb, because you have just recently read. In the exam, you would go in the exam after reading say 100 chapters. How would you check whether you are able to retain anything or not? So do not attempt quizzes immediately. At least give yourself a week's time, 7 days time before you attempt that quiz, because only then you will be able to gauge whether your retention, whether your understanding is good or bad. And as I told you again, the third common mistake is people dig too much into numerical. Because when you start one subject, now you are not aware of the other part that you have not started. You focus on that, which is good, but sometimes you overcommit yourself to that portion. कि नहीं अच्छे से करना है, बस इसमें तो कुछ रहना नहीं चाहिए. भाई they are not asking numericals in the exam. थोड़े बहुत कर लो to avoid risk अगर कुछ आ गया, but you should not be focusing 100% no marks in numerical. वैसे तो आएंगे ही नहीं वो. सो वो टोटल टाइम वेस्ट है आपकी साइड पे, तो उसको मत कीजिए. ओवरऑल एफएम इज वेरी स्कोरिंग. पीपल हैव बीन स्कोरिंग मोर देन 70 plus when the paper was objective, even 80 plus. With paper being subjective, still I think it would be scoring, but in descriptive, obviously, if it is a 50 marks, I think nobody will be able to get more than 40. In objective, it was possible, but still FM is very very scoring on a relative basis, I would say. सो इसको आपको बहुत बहुत अच्छे से करना है. दिस शुड बी समथिंग विच शुड ऑलवेज बी योर स्ट्रॉन्ग एरिया, इवन इफ यू आर नॉट फ्रॉम अ फाइनेंस बैकग्राउंड. नेक्स्ट कमिंग टू द डिस्क्रिप्टिव इंग्लिश पार्ट. राइट हेयर हम 2 months कर लेते हैं. ये गलत है, यहाँ पे 1 month आएगा. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट कमिंग टू द डिस्क्रिप्टिव इंग्लिश. डिस्क्रिप्टिव इंग्लिश में क्या करना चाहिए? अब डिस्क्रिप्टिव इंग्लिश doesn't have anything which is a very predefined plan. Right, nobody can teach you writing descriptive English as in no in a very proficient manner. There is a no proper plan for that. There is no proper chapter list for that. But still you need to work upon that. Boss, this is 100 marks, right? This is 100 marks. Most of the people take this 100 marks very lightly कि हो जाएगा. ठीक है. In SEBI I have seen people scoring hardly 40, 42, 45, right, because of lack of practice. So please do not get into that condition. It should not be like you have scored 75 plus in FM and you are scoring 45 in descriptive English. Then only God can save you. Such a brilliant student, if they are not getting selected in the exam just because they do not give heed to descriptive English, I mean, we all will feel disappointed. So descriptive English, we need to focus upon how to become good in descriptive English. It's not easy. English cannot be improved very easily. It takes time. It can be improved by reading and writing only, but still we have to make efforts on our side, which is possible. First of all, learn the technicalities of writing an essay, précis, comprehension. This is very very important. We do take it very casually that we can write an essay, but do we know how to start an introduction? What are the good ways in which we can start an introduction? How to conclude in a better way? What are the things to avoid in a body? Do we know that? While writing a précis, do we know What is the difference between a précis and a summary? Does précis needs to have a title or not? Do we know these technicalities? If yes, that's good. If no, then you should immediately first of all try to learn the technicalities of writing of essay, précis and comprehension. This is very, very, very important. Only if you know the rules, then there is use of practicing and applying those rules. After you have learned those rules, in your paid course there are videos on that, right? Those who are doing self preparation, they can also find a lot of videos on rules of essay, précis and comprehension on internet. After you have learned these rules, after you have watched these videos at least twice or thrice, read editorials. From where? Now people are confused which newspaper. I would say take one financial newspaper and one non-financial newspaper. Financial newspaper, you can say Live Mint. Non-financial newspaper, you can take Hindu. You can even read financial and non-financial newspaper on alternate days if you have less time. But by reading one financial and non-financial newspaper, we will be able to cover the breadth of various kind of topics. Now, after you have read these editorials, right, you need to type, not write. आपको टाइप करना है. Where? In the notepad, not in the word. In the notepad, not in the word, because word has autocorrection features. When you type in the word, you will never be able to realize what mistakes you are doing. Type in the notepad and you will be very surprised to see that what are the silly spelling and grammatical mistakes you are doing, because we have never been able to realize it due to autocorrection features in these softwares. So type in the notepad after 3 days after you have read an editorial. So if you have read an editorial on Monday, type it on Thursday. Some people, they start typing immediately. That is almost equivalent to doing a vomiting. कि अभी पढ़ा और उसकी उल्टी कर दी लिख के. Same wording, same lines. It's like cramming something and writing it. There is no use of that. We are here to practice, apply, write, type in our own words, type in our own understanding. So at least give you 3 days time before you type the editorial which you have read, and type that in your own words, right? So while typing, you can write an essay on that, maybe you can write a précis on that. That depends upon you. Need to practice both the things. And when you write, maybe initially you can write without a time limit, because when we start, we are really hesitant, we are not comfortable, we do not have a speed. So initially maybe take even 40 minutes to write an essay, 50 minutes to write an essay, but later on, say after 18-20 days, you need to start writing within a word limit, because that is very, very important. Right. On an essay, the word limit keeps on changing, but it is normally between 250 to 350 or 400 words. So keep changing your word limit, right, that you can decide. And time you can give yourself is, say, 20, 25, 30, 35 minutes, somewhere around that. Similarly, précis is almost of 170 words. So you can type in 150, 200, 220 words, somewhere around that. And no, why I'm saying 170 words is something which is expected, but it can vary. They can ask you précis to write in 200 words or 220 words. And give yourself a time of, say, 20 to 25 minutes for précis. And after you have typed, check your grammatical mistakes. There is a website by the name grammarly.com. Go to that website, paste your content, and it will show you all your grammatical mistakes, all your spelling mistakes. That will be an eye-opener to you. The benefit of this exercise is manifold. First, you will be able to improve your grammatical and spelling mistakes. Second, you will be able to develop speed because you would be typing it daily. Third is that your structure will improve, because editorials are written in a very structured manner. If you read those editorials and you try to apply them in your own words, you will get a lot of knowledge and how to write a good structure that you will learn from that. And lastly, your content will improve. Ultimately, editorials has a lot of information with respect to current affairs and the burning issues. So your content will also improve over a period of time. If by the time there is a paper, you have already read, say, 150 editorials, you will be able to have lot of content to write in the paper. Maybe one or the other essay will be from the topics that you have read as an editorial. So that is with respect to descriptive English. Right. Now coming, this was the first part, right? These 2 months, right? Now in these 2 months, you should always try to finish this part. You should always try to finish this part in these 2 months, right? It's not going to be easy, but it is manageable. You can do that. You can do that. It's not impossible. Descriptive English will not take your much time. It will hardly take your say 1 hour. The exercise I'm telling you, it will not take you more than 1 hour to complete that. And FM static, if you are say studying for 5 hours daily, out of that 1 hour goes to descriptive English. Rest 4 hours you should be giving to FM static. This shall be the broad breakup, right? And on weekends you should be studying more FM static, say for around 8 hours, and descriptive English for say FM static not for 8 hours, maybe for 5-6 hours, descriptive English for 1 hour. And when I say descriptive English, you need to type an editorial on daily basis, even if it is not on daily basis. Even if you can do 3-4 days in a week, that is also more than enough, right? तो इसको 2 महीने फोकस करना है. एज आई टोल्ड यू, द आर्ट ऑफ डूइंग लिमिटेड थिंग्स. और कुछ नहीं सोचना है. देर वुड बी लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु विल बी कमिंग टू यू एंड सेइंग कि सर, not sir, your colleagues, they will tell you that do current affairs. Why are you not doing current affairs? You will never pass this exam. Why are you not doing ESI static? Why are you not doing reports or schemes? They will tell you a lot of things, right? They will tell you a lot of things, but you have to tell them that you have your own strategy. You need to focus on your own strategy, because then only you will be able to execute this plan. Now coming to the next phase. So this was basically your first phase of 2 months preparation, right? Now coming to the next phase of 2 months preparation, which is equally important. In this phase, we will start with the current affairs, right? Current affairs include your normal current affairs, normal news, then reports, then schemes, right? So we will cover these current affairs. We will also cover the ESI static, and we also need to revise FM. So at least we are confident of what we have done earlier. I mean, sometimes in these 2 months, people come and say they have completely forgotten FM. Though it's just a perception, you do not forget the same. But still, if you have that kind of nature that you don't feel confident that what you had done, you remember it. So please keep revising at least somewhere in between. Okay. So if we have to go with this plan for the 2 months plan for covering the current affairs, what we need to do is, first of all, how many months of current affairs you need to study? 6 months of current affairs. We need to cover 6 months of current affairs. If you have less time, suppose notification comes early, or you are starting when there are not even 4-5 months left, you can cover at least 4 months of current affairs. This is bare minimum, right? And why we are not starting the current affairs right now? Why I'm asking you to start with FM static and descriptive English and not the current affairs right now? Why I'm doing so? Because you never know. If exam gets delayed, the current affairs you might be reading right now might not be important, right? So though if the exam is just 5 months away, we should start reading the current affairs. But then again, maybe the exam gets delayed, and anyways, if we start reading the current affairs now, then we have to compromise on FM static and descriptive English, which I do not want you to do. I want you to focus on limited things. So we can delay the preparation of current affairs. There is no need to hurry up and finish the current affairs right now, right? You will have sufficient time. Once you have finished FM static and descriptive English, your 200 marks worth of preparation for phase 2 is done, which is a big deal in itself, right? So 6 months of current affairs you have to do, but bare minimum 4 months in case you are less on time. RBI notification, last 3 months are very, very important, right? And when you read current affairs, focus on facts. This you will realize when you see the past year papers, you will realize that how factual questions they are asking you. So focus on facts, which is very, very important. And economics and FM current affairs are inseparable. Sometimes people do ask and come, sir, shall we leave FM current affairs and only do RBI notifications, and in current affairs, shall we read only economics? These are inseparable. If I say, no, if I give you an example that government debt has increased from $200 million to $250 million. Now, this can be asked in economy also, this can be asked in finance also. So economics and FM current affairs are always inseparable. Do not try to do your preparation on these lines. Do not try to do. Right. Aapke course mein there is a magazine in which though we have divided the current affairs in GA, ESI and FM section, but you need to read it in an integrated way. The preparation for phase 1 and phase 2 needs to be done in an integrated way. If you see the last year paper, even in phase 1, they have asked many questions normally which are expected to be asked in phase 2. So you can't take that risk. Current affairs means current affairs. Whether they are GA, ESI and FM, you need to read them before phase 1 itself. There has to be an integrated preparation that I am reading current affair for phase 1 and phase 2, and phase 2 can be asked in phase 1. Right? So you need to do that. There is no point in that. Right? So that was about current affairs. Now, common mistakes that you need to avoid in current affairs is, first of all, many people start reading newspapers for covering current affairs. I don't think it's a very good idea. Neither it is very much feasible unless and until you have a lot of time at your hand, you are finished your preparation and you are only need to cover the current affairs. Reading newspapers is not going to be easy. Reading newspapers is not going to be easy. It's very time consuming. You have to make your own notes. So I don't think, even if you're doing self preparation, go for some magazines which are available for free. Bankers Advice there. Some more magazines are there. You can go for that. Right. But core current affairs should not be covered from the newspaper. You will not have time for that. From newspaper, you should only focus on editorials because that will help you in descriptive writing, for descriptive English or for FM, whatever, or for ESI, whatever it is. Next is reading but not revising them continuously. This is also a very common mistake which many people do while they are preparing for current affairs. We keep on reading, right? We keep on reading but we do not revise. But then it's not a good strategy, because unless and until we revise, we will not be able to remember them. So current affairs has to be revised in between. Say you have read for 1 month, then you are reading for second month, but it means in between take out some days and try to revise what you have read for the first month. It will give you boost, it will give you confidence, and it will help you score some good marks. And another common mistake which people do is not mapping current affairs to syllabus for phase 2. Many a times we don't know which part of our syllabus this current affair is related to. Although in phase 1 anything can be asked, but in case you have limited time, our sole goal should be to read current affairs which maps to syllabus directly. For example, there is a report on gender gap. It maps to my syllabus directly, because in syllabus there is a talk of gender gap. Right. If there is a report on defense equipments, it might not be that relevant for my exam because defense equipment is not there directly in my syllabus. Defense is not in my syllabus for RBI Grade B. So that way, try to map the reports, the schemes, the news to your syllabus, right? Because that will help you get more value for the time that you are investing in reading things. Next we come to ESI static, right? So we have covered current affairs. I'll come to reports and schemes later. Next I'm going to discuss about ESI static, right? Now ESI static, if we see from objective perspective, I would say only 5 chapters are important. What are they? Growth and development, monetary policy, fiscal policy, inflation and BOP. When I say these are important, question cannot be asked from other chapters? That can be asked. But these are conceptual chapters. If you do not understand them, you will never be able to answer the questions from these chapters, whereas other chapters, such as chapter related to social issues and other chapters, they are not that conceptual. Even if you have read them with a cursory glance, you will be able to answer the objective questions in the exam. So first of all, to score good in the objective part, read these 5 chapters very, very, very thoroughly. Then there are some chapters. Now ESI consists of economics and social issues. Now there are some chapters related to social structure in India, right? Such as multiculturalism, gender issues, demographic trends, urbanization and migration, social movements, Indian political system. All these are related to social structure in India. Now these chapters are mainly current oriented, right? Therefore, in ESI static, the objective questions from these chapters are current oriented, not much theoretical. But these chapters anyway you need to study for descriptive part, because in descriptive part they can ask you that what are the issues with respect to gender parity in India, or what are the reasons for gender disparity in India, what have been the steps taken by the government. This can be asked, right? So these chapters, social structure in India, you need not read from objective perspective, but you need to cover the current aspect related to them, because that can be asked in the objective part, and you need to read them from descriptive perspective. There is a difference when we read a chapter from a descriptive or objective perspective. When we read a chapter from a descriptive perspective, we mainly focus on, right, say I am reading gender issues. That, no, what is basically the problem in India? What have been the steps taken by the government till now? What have been the reforms that have been done till now? Why the issue is still persisting? What are the challenges? What is the way forward? So I have to read it like an essay, right, and nothing else. And I will be able to write a good descriptive answer if I have good understanding of these things. Then the next is important chapters for descriptive part. So in ESI static, these are very important for objective. These chapters are not that important for objective, but important for descriptive. Apart from that, now if we try to take a complete list for descriptive part: growth and development, poverty alleviation and employment, sustainable development and environmental issues, priorities and recommendations of economic survey and union budget, industrial policy, Indian agriculture, opening up of Indian economy and balance of payments, international economic institutions, IMF and the World Bank, human development, social sectors in India and international economic issues. All these chapters are important from descriptive part, right? So you need to read them from descriptive part very thoroughly. Again, on the same lines, try to read them like an essay, right? So that you get a gist of, no, what to write if any questions related to these topics is asked in the exam. So what I'm trying to say is that in ESI static, although it is also worth 100 marks as FM static, but in ESI static the current orientation is required. So spend more time on reading the current part. The theoretical part also needs to be studied, but do not go into that much depth as you will go into FM static. And practice descriptive answer writing for ESI also. Once you are doing ESI static under this 2 months bracket, write one answer daily for ESI static, just spending 15 minutes. It is very, very necessary. Descriptive writing cannot be improved within a limited time. It will take you time to become a veteran, to become a pro in descriptive writing. Next, coming to reports. So reports for last 6 to 9 months are important, right? Reports by international organizations or national organizations such as UN, UNICEF, IMF, World Bank, WTO, Niti Aayog, RBI are very, very important. And sometimes what we do is, when we read these reports, we leave the reports that are released by private organizations. That can be done, but if you have time, do not leave the reports released by private organizations, because in the past there has been questions asked from even the reports released by some NGOs or something. So take care of that, but this should be last list on your priority while you are doing reports. First priority should be to do the reports by all these international and national organizations such as UN, UNICEF, IMF, WTO, World Bank, Niti Aayog, RBI, etc., etc. Sometimes the reports are really lengthy. Suppose you are reading the RBI annual report, which is really, really lengthy. How can we cover it in short? Now there is a thumb rule for reports, right? How can we cover the reports shortly? Cover them from newspapers first if you have less time. Cover them from newspapers first in case you have less time. How to do this? Just search the report on Google. Search the report on Google, whatever is there, and try to read related to that report from different newspapers online. Say Times of India, Live Mint, Economic Times, Financial Express. So if a report is there and that report is really lengthy, you are not able to read that report from the original source, right? Then try to search that report on the internet, on the Google, and try to read the gist of that report which is given in different newspapers. That is the best thing you can do if you want to save time. Regarding schemes also, you need to read schemes which are in news for past 6 to 9 months. When I say news, they may be newly launched, they may be updated, they might be in news because they have been, say, rewarded for their good performance, but they are very old. Doesn't matter. If they are in news, they become important for your exam. And in your course, right, we have given schemes tab in which we are covering the schemes on monthly basis which are in news. So your first priority should be to cover the schemes tab. MSD is a detailed document on all the schemes, old or new, right? MSD doesn't contain only the schemes which are in use, but all the schemes. So first you should be covering the scheme step. In case you get time, you should be going to MSD. This should be your second priority. This should be your first priority, right? And during this phase, revision of FM shall not be ignored, right? So say if you are spending 5 hours, I would say 3 hours to this, right? 1.5 hours to ESI static. 3 hours here means current affairs, reports and schemes combined. 1.5 hours to ESI static, and maybe say half an hour or 1 hour to revision of FM, because that will give you confidence that whatever you have done earlier, you have still not forgotten that, right? So this is the next 2 months plan after you have covered FM descriptive, FM static and descriptive English. Now, how to do the phase 1 prep during this time? Because we have to do the phase 1 prep during this 4 months itself. How can we do that? Normally, non-working candidates will not have any problem because they would have 12 hours a day. They can do that, right? They can spend good amount of time on phase 1. But what about the candidates who are working? They will not have much time. They will not have much time, right? So working candidates have to take out some time to even prepare for phase 1, because I said phase 2 can get you in merit list, but phase 1 can prevent you to even appear in phase 2. So we need to give equal importance to phase 1. So what I suggest is that if you try to do this quant reasoning and English on daily basis, it is going to consume a lot of energy. You will not be able to do. So what I normally suggest is that on Fridays, you leave this plan. Just focus on quant and reasoning, but pick one at a time. So in these 2 months, maybe you can pick quant, right? And another 2 months you can pick English. Do not pick both of them. Again, art of doing limited things. So on Friday, don't do either this or this. Don't do this. Just focus on either quant or reasoning, whatever you pick it up in the first 2 months. And Saturday and Sunday, since you will be having a lot of time, it being a weekend, you do all the things. You continue with this plan, right? In whatever phase you are, and also do either quant or reasoning, whatever you have picked up. So on Saturday and Sunday, you would be doing this plan also, right? And you would be doing this plan also for phase 1. But on Fridays, only phase 1. So by doing this again, continuously for 3 days, you will be spending time on phase 1, right? Which will help you learn some good things, which will help you give some output. And the whole week you are preparing for phase 2, right? With only Friday being a break from phase 2. But I think that will help you in being more productive. Taking a break from phase 2 will eventually help you being more productive, right? So this is one thing you can do. And then you need to practice a lot of sectional tests, guys, right? This again, you can plan in between. Sometime if you have in office, maybe you take out some 30 minutes during lunchtime and try to solve say around 15 questions, or maybe on weekends itself you have to take out time, right? Do not start mock test immediately. I'll tell you when to start the mock test. Then practice 15 questions daily on one subject in 30 minutes. That is what I told you, right? And cover from basics. While you're doing quant and reasoning, I see a lot of people, they try to always find some shortcuts. That is not going to help you. Quant and reasoning, if you see last 2-3 year papers, it is really tough, right? So do not try to cover some shortcuts. This is not a clerical or a some easy exam, assistant exam. This is a proper exam in which you need to work hard. So do not try to cover from basics, work hard. So that was about this plan, and I've also discussed phase 1 preparation during this time. Now, last 1 month, or even if it is more than that, it should be a bonus for you. You should focus on revision. Revision is very, very important, and along with that, mock test. You should be giving one mock test for phase 1 and phase 2 every week. So maybe you can do for phase 1 mock on Saturday and phase 2 mock on Sunday, or maybe both the mocks on one day, but I would suggest only one mock on one day, because giving a mock is very exhausting. And if it is not, then you are not giving it in a right way. When you give a mock, commit yourself as you are sitting in a real exam, right? Analyze it properly. You should be spending at least 3-4 hours on analyzing a mock, right? So practice one mock test for phase 1 and phase 2 each on the weekends, right? This is very, very important. Along with the revision, you should be doing that. And During this time, when I talk about revision, revision is more than just looking through, right? Revision doesn't mean that you just glance through. I mean, sometimes you might be required to read the full chapter again because you might have forgotten some things. So revision also needs to be done in a very systematic way. Now there are some FAQs, right? Which I'm just going to read it out for you, and I'm going to give you the solutions, because many people, after even listening to this strategy, they are not confident. First is, shall I revise in between when reading any component? Yes. Say if you're reading FM, after reading 5 chapters, maybe say one day revise all the 5 chapters. That will help you remember whatever you are reading. When shall I start giving mock test? I think if you have started your preparation, this is not the right time to give mock test. Complete your syllabus, or at least 70-80% of your syllabus. So if you're starting right now, after 4 months when you start your revision, that should be the right time for giving your mock test, because mock test you need to give till the last week of your actual phase 1 exam. So you will have a lot of time even after notification to give these mock tests. So I would suggest, maybe if you even start mock test giving say in December, it would be not a bad idea. Now some people say that I have read but I am not able to score. What to do here? See, you need to analyze your mock test. Sometimes we are making silly mistakes. For this, nobody can help you. You need to analyze, why are you doing silly mistakes? Are you not attentive? Are you not reading the question properly? Right? Sometimes people do not read the word not given in the question, and that changes the meaning of the question for you. So avoid silly mistakes that you need to analyze. Sometimes you are not able to attempt questions because you are not able to recall things, though you have understood the things. Then you need to have uh, good revision of that portion. And third, if you are making conceptual mistakes, then there is something wrong in your understanding which you need to improve. You maybe need to consult your mentors, your teachers, that where are you going wrong. Next, last question is, which many people do ask, is that I am not able to cover within a stipulated time. Right, I've given you 2 months. Some people will say that they are not able to cover within a stipulated time because it is taking a lot of time for them. It happens. If you are starting afresh, sometimes you are not able to grasp things quickly. But then some smart strategy is required. So instead of blindly doing everything what is given in the course or what is given in the book, what you can do is, say, for management, many of the times chapters are really easy. For example, if you are reading communication, you can just read the notes. You need not put or you need not waste time in videos. Some chapters are like that, even in finance, right? Even in ESI, topics like multiculturalism, poverty, health, these kind of chapters do not have much for understanding. Rather, you need to know what is there, right? So here you can have some smart strategy rather than following the course in a predefined manner, one by one deliverables. You can be smart and skip some deliverables and still have the same kind of understanding which other people have the same kind of conceptual knowledge which other people have, and you can do it more efficiently doing this way. So that will depend upon you, right? That needs to be customized by you. So I hope this strategy, for the people who are going to start now, they will be able to adjust better, they will be able to execute better. See, at the end of the day, it is all about clearing the exam. It's not about just preparation. So you need to have a proper plan, right? And you need to execute that plan with determination, with total push, with total force from your side, right? And do not forget previous year papers and syllabus. These are the two important inputs that you have always with you, because that will help you understand what is required, what is not, what is the right orientation, what can be skipped, what can be not, right? So I take your leave now, right? Do watch this video again in case you are not able to understand something that I'm explaining. You watch this video at least 2-3 times, and this strategy should be in your mind before you start executing it. Have a nice day. Bye bye.